Okay. It looks like we are live now. Let me refresh Twitch just to make sure it's all working well. Yep. Looks like we are good to go. Daniel, how are you, sir?
Hey, doing good. Glad to be here, man.
Oh, great. Yeah, I don't know how it is. I know you're in the Bay Area, but up here in Seattle, we're hitting 60 degrees for the first time in I think a couple of weeks. So it's quite nice.
That's great. The permafrost is coming down, huh?
Exactly. Awesome. Well, great to see you as always, Daniel, and for everyone who's joining our live stream. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you're new here, this is your first time. My name is Omri. I'm on the business development team for Amazon Honeycode, and Daniel is our solutions architect, world famous solutions architect extraordinaire. And we just jump on this Twitch channel every week to share common patterns and or useful patterns and other tips and techniques on how to build applications in Honeycode. And we just completed a series on how to augment data in Honeycode. And so Daniel showed us just a lot of great patterns on how to display data, how to show context, how to show wide tables on narrow screens, just a lot of really helpful stuff that we encourage you to check out. And today, though, we wanted to cover a different topic around history, keeping track of an audit. How do you keep that history, etc.? How do you know who did what and when and so forth? So, Daniel, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, I think this pattern has come up several times, and I've had several people ask me, "Hey, how do I know who did what in security audits?" And even people wanting to keep older versions of projects or older versions of approvals or the status of a specific object. So today we're going to cover that. There's two patterns. One is if I have in our case, we're going to have songs. So what if a song changed, or what if the title of a song changed? How do I see that over time? Number one. And number two, the second pattern is, how do I know who clicked on what button, who viewed what thing in my application? How do I do that within Honeycode? So I don't know. Have you encountered that? Has that come up for you?
Oh, absolutely. And it comes up really regularly for customers, especially when customers are putting together applications in Honeycode that are going to be used by a wide range of teams, like larger teams that are distributed. For them, it's critically important to be able to keep track of this activity and have an idea of what just happened, who made what change, just in case things are done mistakenly and or there's a need for an audit. So this is really helpful.
Yeah, in fact, I think it came up this morning in a customer conversation we had around Connect. Remember that?
Right, absolutely. And
yeah,
definitely. No, really looking forward to this.
Yeah, so let me see if I can bring up that screen. So I don't have the whole app running right now, and it's pretty agnostic, but essentially, and here's an audit trail, like who made this particular message live, who made it live, what the action was, and which particular message it was, and when was it made. So this is an example that we have in our Connect app that's going live soon. So this is it's the use case.
Oh yeah. No, this is great. I'm glad you're showing this. And for anyone who's watching this, the context around this is an application that Daniel built that connects to Amazon Connect, which is used for call centers. And the application Daniel built allows the staff of the call center to change the message that customers would hear when they call into the call center. If there's an outage or there's an emergency or a catastrophe, then the staff can use Daniel's application, type in the new message that they want customers to hear, and then they push it live to Amazon Connect. And so, yeah, that's the broader context, but this is a great example of how to use that audit pattern to keep track of all of the new messages that have been pushed by members of the team.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into it. So we're going to build this whole thing from scratch. So we're going to build a new workbook. Let's call this History Demo 2. Right? When we go into this particular workbook, it's going to be empty. And we're going to add a couple of tables. In our case, we're going to ignore this table. We're going to add a table from CSV. And let's pick, here's some sample data I have. These are just song records. It doesn't, for our purposes, it doesn't matter what the data is, but this is song records, album, work type, you name it. And we're also going to create call this table of records. Right? So this is the table of record for records. And then we're going to just for that, we also need a history table, right? Where we're going to keep track of history. So we're going to, let's upload the same thing again, just to make it easy on ourselves. At least the fields will match, then it'll be identical. So we're going to call this one records history. Okay. So now the takeaway is that whenever a record changes in the records table, we would like to have a new row appear in the history table. And so the history table right now, they're identical. They're exactly the same number of 41 rows. We do have to add a couple of fields to this. So this is going to keep, if a song changes, it'll be reflected here. So we're going to add a couple of columns here to the history table. One called, let's call this one record. This is going to link, this is going to be a row link to the table above, so we can link all these histories together. And this is going to be saved date. So which is the date when this was saved? We're going to make this a date, so essentially a timestamp. You could also call it a version or a revision date or something like that. And then we're going to change this. Is going to be a row link to the records table. So now you can say, hey, give me all the history rows that match the record, this particular record. That's what the purpose of this is. Okay, so now we're good. So now we're also going to build an automation in the background to do this work for us. Right, so the automation, we're going to simply call it save history automation. And so whenever a column changes in the records table, specifically, I skipped over that. Let me go back here. So in the records table, we could pick any column we wanted here. So any column changes, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to add here a last changed. Last changed date. And also add another one called last changed by. So who was it changed by? So we're going to make this column also a date. So now whenever this is going to be our trigger column, whenever this column changes, please make a record in the history table.
Makes sense.
So now that I have this here, so whenever that changes, we want to just simply add a row, add a new row into the history table. And this is very straightforward. You basically say work type equals, this is the beauty of just making the tables the same.
Sure.
You can keep going down the list here. We're going to let's pick name. I'm not going to do all of them because, we're going to get bored very soon here.
Sure.
But we're going to pick the last two. So we want record. We want this to be equal to this row, meaning the row that triggered this whole activity. And we also want to make the saved date equal to last change date. So let's go with that, right?
Great.
We may add more if we forgot something.
Sure.
So let's see if that publishes. And now let's look at, so that published. So let's look at our tables. If I take, which song here? Too Young. Let's make a change to this particular, let's say, let's pretend we made a change and see if, let's say 4/4/2022. It doesn't matter what the date is. Now we made essentially we indicated, or we triggered by updating this column, we triggered that this particular record was changed.
Mhm.
And so now if we look in the records history, we better have 42 items here. Aha, there it is. Too young.
There it is in
Here
real time.
in real time, right? So the automation took effect. Boom, we're good to
Yep.
go. Now this is pretty and all, but I usually prefer to work in a nice, pretty web interface. So let's make a quick web interface out of this. Let's make a new app. And we're going to cheat. We're going to just use the wizard. And we're going to make an app to edit the records. And the history is just going to happen on its own. And we're going to pick literally all the defaults here. We're going to say, yes, please give us a history. Sorry, a list of records. Please give us a detail of the record. And yes, please give us a create new record form. Done. Right? Done. So now,
Too easy.
yeah, it's exactly. So now we have an app, right? So now let me share this workbook with you because I want you to add. So this is demo 2. I'm going to share it with you. So that way you can create records as well. So now we have the app. And just we'll both be creating records.
Sounds good.
And so where are we here? Sorry, I have too many of these things open from trying it before, but let's view the app. So now in order to make this app, like we have Ultimate Dolly Parton, we have all kinds of songs in here. We can go to the details screen. So I would like this screen, whenever somebody makes an edit on this screen, I would like it to be recorded. And then also, I think you pointed out that adding is important. So when somebody adds a record, we're gonna do that later.
Right.
Go here first and work on this screen. And this pattern we've seen before, right? This is the inline edit pattern that we've talked about before. And we're going to simply add a couple of buttons here. One button.
Create some buttons. Yep.
Button, and add a data cell to store if we're in edit mode or not. So we're going to call this one, it's going to be a variable on the screen only. And we're going to call it is edit on. Yes or no, right? By default, is going to be false. So this button is going to be called edit. And this button is going to be called done. Okay. So this button is going to be visible only when we are not in $is_edit. That button. Also want to see this button the other time when we are in $is_edit. Edit mode, we want to see that. We want the edit button. All it's going to do, it's going to update the current screen. Actually, it's not going to update the current screen only. It's going to make a no. For right now, it will just do that. Sorry about that. For right now, it will simply update. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're just simply going to update the screen and say yes, make edit on. Okay, so make edit on, true, and this one's going to make edit off. False. Let's say we want to change the name.
Yep.
And let's say we want to change the log line here, the description. These are going to be editable. I'm going to make a version editable of these fields. And we're going to show this field when we are in not in $edit mode. Is edit on? That is that, and the same thing with this one. And the second one, we're going to show it when we are in edit mode. And the same with this one, we're in edit mode. So this is a very basic. You can keep doing this pattern for all the fields if you want to turn this into a toggleable edit screen. So now for here, notice we have the edit button, and we can quickly say, the name and the log line. We can change them, right?
Great.
But now I would like to record. I'd like to record what happened here. So when I press the edit
Hmm.
button, I want to make a record. I want to make a record that something has changed.
Yeah, to see who, yeah,
Yeah, to see what the changes were. Because
what the changes were. Absolutely.
so I'm going to come here to the actions, and I'm going to make the action a little bit more complicated. Let's see. Instead of update screen, we're going to go create an automation, and we're going to add an action. Actually, yeah, we don't even have to do this. My mistake, but we'll leave it here because we'll do something with it later. Yeah, no, actually, we need to do this. Sorry, my bad. We need to basically tell the current record that we're looking at. We need to say input row. Tell the current record that yes, your live date has been updated.
Hmm.
Your last change date, right? And remember that's our trigger. So we need to say last change date equals to all we're going to do is put that in there, and the background automation takes care of it. And while we're at it, we're also going to say who did it. Change by, and we're going to put in here our favorite friend, $6 user. That's it. So now this does very, very little. I don't have to put all the fields in here. I don't have to track
Hmm.
every single field because the background automation takes care of it. So we're going to say back. And so that's it. So whenever somebody initiates edit, we immediately save a copy. We can also save a copy when somebody finishes, so we can have a before after kind of thing. But let's see if this works. Okay. So Ultimate Dolly Parton. What is your favorite song? Get some word there. And it's there. Let's try and edit it again. Oops. Okay, done. And now let's look at our records and
Hmm.
see if we got something added to the history. Okay, so there's
Yeah, there you go.
two changes. What happened to our log line? Uh-oh.
It looks like maybe the automation for logline
Yes.
wasn't there from earlier, right?
I thought we did that. Okay, well, you're very fast. Okay, let's see what we did we do here. So we don't have the log line, so we're gonna get this automation to update the log line or the summary, I guess. Okay, now we should, sheesh, I lost all that good information I typed. Okay. So now let's go back and pick a different record. Let's pick on Baby Beluga and edit and some description. And
Yep.
edit it again and say what we really want to say is my niece loves this song. Okay, so now let's see what is happening to our records. Aha, there it is.
There it is. Yep.
So it saved the some description from when we
Hmm.
came in. Save some description afterwards, and if we go back and edit it again and say oops, notice it doesn't keep the last version, so it only keeps the previous versions, which is kind of
Right.
nice.
Yep.
So as soon as somebody hits done, now you've got a snapshot. So we should better see something about my niece here.
And
Haha, here we go. So you've kept the previous version done.
yep. Yep.
Obviously, if you have the patience, you can fill in the rest of the columns, but it kind of works the same way. And it also linked here to the correct album.
Hmm.
Okay, it looks like it is the correct album. It just doesn't look right because Honeycode in every pick list, it takes the first column and uses that in a pick list. So if we move
Right.
this to the beginning of the list here, it will appear a lot better.
Yeah, much more readable.
Okay, well, it's going to have to take a bit to refresh.
Yeah.
But it will, in the interface, it looks fine. Okay, so
Sure.
there's that pattern, but let's say you want to also have a separate table where you just keep track of actions. You don't want to keep the whole
Mhm.
record. It's too much. It's a lot of duplication of data. You just want to say who did what when kind of thing. So let's try to create a blank table and just call this one, let's just call it audit trail. And basically have the first column be actor. This is the who. This is the action or the what. What did the person do? And this is the when, right? A date. And add another comment here just for kicks. Okay, so the date is going to become a date and time. The actor is going to be a person. So this is where we're going to start to see your name when you start to make records, Amari. Here, okay.
Great.
And we're going to do this a little differently. We're not going to create a separate automation, but we're going to go into the app and on add. So this add button, we're going to modify it a little bit. We're still going to go to the add screen, but we're going to simply add a action here to add a row to the audit trail. And this one simply says the actor is who, again, our friend Sits User. We're going to be really good friends with Sits User here soon. I mean, I already did not have very many friends, but now I have a Sits User friend. Add, click. Okay. That's our action. Date is going to be equal to now. And comment. There's not a lot to comment here. Say the same thing as clicked the button. Right? We don't have the record yet.
Mhm.
So. All right. So if you wouldn't mind starting to create a few things, I'm going to go in.
Yep.
And add something on the submit button here. So once you've clicked done, we want to record what just happened. So if you want to go create a couple of records, we should start to see some.
I'm doing that on my the screen next to me.
Perfect. So the record action, this done or the submit action here already writes the record in the table. We're just going to tell it to add a row into the audit table as well. So audit tail, again, this is very basic. So the system user is sys user. And the action is, okay, so the action is added record. We can call it whatever. The date again is now. And the fun part really begins here when you say this time we can actually give a proper useful comment because we can use concatenate.
Yeah. And then grab data from multiple fields.
Exactly. So let's say added record dash pretty like that, and we're going to find row from find last row. Because this is atomic, this whole operation is atomic, you should give me the last row from the records table, please. And we'll already find it. But we also don't want the whole record. We just want the name, for example. We want to bring the name field from the row that it found. And that's it. And so this one, we lost something here. What is going on? Maybe we have too many. Okay, do I have too many of those? No. Okay, that's better. Okay.
Well, you got it.
Okay, so now, have you added stuff?
Yes, I have.
Okay, let me add one too here.
I can add one more.
Work type, sleep. Type. Oh no. Deposit name. Let's say by the rivers of Babylon.
Oh, good one.
And logline. I love this song. and say done. Okay, so now if I search for it, right, it should be here. Yep. What song did you type in?
Sing all the single ladies.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I have a story about that song. It came on, we were doing an IT migration, and it came on late at night, and there was literally three of us in this IT closet doing some networking, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I love that song!" And I said, as soon as I said I regretted it. The guys looked at me funny. They're like, "What?"
Hey, you said out loud what everybody was thinking inside.
Exactly. Okay.
Who doesn't love that song?
So notice that this did not, what we just did not get added to the history table, right? Because we
Right.
didn't want to do that.
Yep.
But I bet you if we go in the audit trail, we have, here's all the activity that Daniel did, Amari did, right?
Yep.
Added, XO, click the button, right? So all these actions are tracked here, and
Yep.
it's 3 clicks to make this into an audit screen. Let's see if it's actually 3 clicks. 1, 2. Okay, I'm not going to count that one. And add a list. 3. Okay, fine. It's 4 clicks. And okay, 5 clicks, and now you have an audit trail in your app. So with that, ladies and gentlemen,
So easy.
we're saving history of the records, and we're saving the audit trail. And obviously,
Yep.
there's some empty rows in there.
Yep.
All right. What do you think about that?
This was great. And yeah, just under 30 minutes. Too easy. Anything else to cover for today?
Yeah, I was going to mention this app that we did, but I kind of mentioned it at the beginning, so I ran out of what's there. And one more thing.
Oh, yes. Well, that was awesome. Thank you very much, Daniel. And for everybody who joined us, thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to display here. You can take a look at previous videos. Links to them are all posted on our community site. So you can go to this link here to see our entire series of workshops. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Have a good rest of your week.
Cheers. Bye.